Why have you said that you won't fly commercial? You said that it's like getting into a tube with a bunch of demons.
All right, so I think that when a preacher can every week look at parishioners suffering and take their money and live lavishly in front of them, in their face, I don't know how you do that. I mean, I can understand a bank robber taking the money and then going off to Tahiti or whatever, but to continuously rob people that are like making it from check to check barely, and you're in their face every day telling them, you're gonna make it, you're gonna get through it, and God is on your side. Give me that money though. Give me that. Ooh, give me that 50. Give me that 50.
But that's
I mean, I don't understand how they can do that with a clear conscience and go to sleep at night.
So it's like anything. You have to be careful where your spirit lies. So you can't go into a church because some people. Let me tell you something. Not only we're talking about the preacher, but there are parishioners that go to church that keep giving because they're sinning so bad that they think if they give to the church, it's going to erase their sins. That ain't how it works.
That's how they tell you, though.
No, but I mean, you have to. First of all, God created all of us. He knew what our sins were going to be before we even committed to them.
Of course.
That's whether you believe God is a woman, a man, black, white, spirit, whatever. That's what it is. They already knew. We were already created. So my thing is that you're going to sin. The thing is that you have to repent with yourself, and you have to recognize your wrongs, paying for them.
Right.
And that's what it's like. Preachers are taking advantage.
But I think that ultimately I don't want to say that because
No, say it. Say
not
it.
most, but a lot of people want to be led. They just don't have it in them to lead, or they don't have it in them to. They want a leader.
But you need to pick a great leader.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And
Everybody's not a
there are
leader.
people that I look up to, that I take their information, that are sort of leaders in my thinking, but I don't put them in a slot that makes them not human.
I think it's fine to want a leader. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying, I think you have to be very precise and speak upon what it is that you want. Because if you don't speak on what you want the right way, you will get it the wrong way.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When did you realize that? What was the point that when you realized God existed?
When did I realize that God existed? I realized that God existed when I was about maybe Emily's age, 7 or 9.
Okay.
When it was on Christmas Eve, my mother was involved in a car accident in Chicago.
My mother was in a horrible car accident.
It's my story.
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's my story. You just asked me.
No, just keep going, but
Jesus Christ. So anyway, and she hit. No, you cannot interject. Oh. And she hit a Vidoc head on.
A Vidoc.
A Vidoc. You know what a Vidoc?
No.
A Vidoc is something we have in Chicago. I don't think there's not too many here. It's an overpass. So like sometimes the Vidoc is made and the train goes over it. So we have a lot of freight trains.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay. So she hit one of those posts. They're posts.
It was mini posts. It's concrete. It's like it raises above street level.
I've seen it.
So
in Chicago.
She hit that and was ejected from the car. And it was on Christmas Eve. It was like a couple of days before Christmas. And me being the child that I was worried about my mother. Mm-hmm. But I thought, because I couldn't stay at home, and I remember I had to go to my aunt's house, and I was like, what about Santa?
Because it was Christmas.
It was Christmas. I was 7. But when I saw my mother in the hospital, when I saw that car, and my great-grandmother, I used to pray with her, I realized that there was a God. Because the car, they found her leg was, she went through the windshield.
Okay. Wow.
She met a lady, I'll never forget her name, was Gloria. Mm-hmm. And Gloria stayed there with my mother. Her leg was behind her neck.
Jesus.
She broke two or three bones. I can't remember. She was in traction. She had a huge scar on the top of her head. But looking at that car, you would think she was dead. So that's when I knew there was a God and there was a
They let you
purpose.
see that at that age?
I saw the pictures.
After the fact or at that age?
I saw the pictures at that age
Wow.
of the car. And I went to the hospital to see my mother. I mean, that was my mother. I went to see my mother.
Of course. Well, that would be very profound in a child's life.
Mm-hmm.
Did you realize that God existed at that moment, or when you became older and was like, and you
Always knew
called it
God
and you
existed.
said, "Oh, that."
No, I come from a very spiritual family. They were not very religious per se, but
Right.
more spiritual. And my great grandmother used to talk to me all the time about spirituality, about prayers,
Okay.
praying,
Yeah.
which is just basically heavy meditation.
Yeah, people don't realize that it is.
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't realize there's a moment that is extremely pivotal in my life, but I realized it in retrospect that is God, and I believe that God is one major form of God is a woman's or a mother's maternal intuition. So when I was a little boy, we had I grew up in a 6-bedroom house, a really large house, and it was so large that me and my sisters and stuff, we used to be but when my mother and all the adults were gone, we were like, okay, we're together. we're gonna because the house was so damn big, we're like, we're gonna be friends until because we got each other for the boogeyman. So my mother was never the type of mother to walk in and tell you, clean your room. She wasn't that type of mother. My mother was never the type of mother to walk in and get in your business. Like, she just wasn't that kind of mom. And it was just me and my mom at home. And as a little boy, believe it or not, I was very naive as a kid. And I was very I thought when I was a little kid, it took everything in my power not to get a brick and bust through the TV, because I thought I could grab the characters out of the TV.
Oh, you were
Thank
smart.
God I didn't do that, because I was, oh my God. So, I was in the bathroom, and look, my mother wouldn't even, let me tell you what I used to do when I was a kid. I was so bad. I would run the bath water and usually not take a bath, and they'd be like, did you take a bath? Yep. And I was dirty as hell, didn't take a bath for weeks.
Smelly Nelly.
Oh my God. She'd be like, you smell like outside. I'd be like, mm-hmm. So one day in this big ass house, it was just my mother and I. She was in her room, and all the way down the hall, I was in the bathroom, in the bathtub.
Was the house that big or were you that small?
No, that was a 6-bedroom house.
Okay.
Upstairs, downstairs.
Okay.
It's an apartment building now. And so I'm in the bathtub. There's a boom box that I was listening to that was plugged up. And like I said, I was like, I want to see what this radio sounds like underwater. Because I was like, oh, it's going to be like muffled and the bubbles will come up. Big boom box. My mother, like I said, her room was all the way down the hall. And my mother was not a nosy mom. And the door was closed in the bathroom. I pick up the radio, it's plugged up, and I'm like this. I'm mid like this. And I'm getting ready to put it in the water. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, my mother comes in there. What are you doing? And I was like, I want to see the bubbles get it. She said, you're gonna fucking kill yourself. Put that shit. It was just, and I just remember being like, oh my God, like I freaked out.
I'm surprised you didn't drop it in the water.
I didn't, because she yanked it out the cord, and she just, but it let me know years later that that's God. That was God. And that wasn't supposed to be my ending.
Right.
And my mother, her intuition kicked in, and like I said, my mother was not she wasn't maternal in that way. So she would have never done that had she not been
So that's when
compelled
you
to do
realized
it.
that there was
I didn't realize it then until I got older.
How old would you say you were?
When I finally realized that was God.
Yeah.
When I thought about it, because I thought about it, and I was like, oh my God, what if I put that radio, what if I put that radio in the tub with me? And I just thought about that, and I was like, I was like, that was God. So
Yeah,
I realized that then.
That was God.
That was God. And then also with afterlife, or with my mom passing, I knew my aunt was going to pass because I had a dream.
Okay.
And I went to church and I told her sister, I was crying. I was like, I had a dream that Valerie is getting ready to leave. And she never talked about it to anybody. And like a week later, she was gone.
Oh, wow.
My father, my father was murdered. My father was opening up an art gallery, and the people that he hired to put the bars on his windows when he was getting ready to make his dream happen, they came back and he was in there painting, and they tried to rob the place and hit him over the head with a lead pipe, and he died weeks later. But prior to that, I was with my father, and we were together, and he was taking me somewhere, and we got out the car, and out of his van, he had a van. I miss seeing vans on the road. My father had a van. Anyway, saw this lady, this beautiful lady, and they started talking. And then he came back to the car and he said, damn it. And I was like, he said, oh, yes. He's like, it's my time to go. He's like, I'm leaving. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, I went to preschool with that lady. He said, I went to preschool with her. He said, I haven't seen her since preschool. She recognized me from preschool. And he was like, I'm leaving. And I was like, Dad, what are you talking about? Don't talk like that, talk like that, talk like that. A week later, he was gone. So
that's when you realized there was a God?
No, that's when I realized the power of people's, what we say, but the power of people's spiritual intuition, which is God. That is God.
That is God. Yeah.
And so when my mom was leaving, I have a friend that I don't see, I don't hang out with, I don't communicate with, a mutual friend of a friend. I happened to see him so I saw him at the supermarket, Chauncey, and I told him I had a dream about you, man. And he was like, you really? And I was like, yeah, I didn't tell him the dream or whatever. It was too personal. The dream that I had was with me and Chauncey, and we were dropping my mother off to my father. And my father, has since passed. And when we got to his place, he said, no, she can't be here. She has to go back. She's not ready to be here. And we said, well, we were supposed to drop her off. And he said, no, you have to take her back. So that was the dream that I didn't share with anyone, with me and Chauncey and my mother. And I was like, yeah, I didn't tell him the dream or whatever. It was too personal or whatever. But I was just like, oh, yeah, man. It was just weird that I saw him. Just because I don't see this guy. I don't hang out with him. I don't, very fair weather friend. So cut to, this is during December too, like right after my birthday and then going into Christmas, jingle bells. And so I'm hanging out with my sister, and there are two concerts back to back. One with Floetry and one with Dwelle.
Okay.
And they're at the Roxy.
Okay.
Me and my sister, Michelle, we're going to these back-to-back concerts for some reason. And I'm hanging out with her a lot. So we go to these concerts back to back, and we get in this line. Who's in the fucking line behind me?
Chauncey.
Chauncey's in behind me with his girlfriend. I was just like, fuck, dude. What's up? I keep bumping into you. What's up? He was like, hey, So I was just like, okay. Didn't think anything of it. Cut to, it's the 23rd of December or 24th. I took me and Nicholas, her son, was a little boy, and we took him to go see Santa Claus at the Grove. So that, I'm sure you took Emily there. Exactly.
Yes.
He wasn't scared of that white Santa, but when I was a kid, I was like, well, I'm not fucking with that Santa. But he sat there on the lap. He was like, what's up? Anyway, so after that, we go into the movie theater. And we're coming out. I'm with my second sister, Nikki, at this time. I'm walking out. Who the fuck do I bump into?
Chauncey.
Fucking Chauncey. And I was like, damn. And I told Nikki, I said, I keep bumping into him. But I didn't share my dream. Then that was the 22nd. The 24th, Nikki called me and said that she had been trying to get my mother at the condo, and my mother wouldn't answer the phone.
Okay.
She goes to her condo. She's like, she goes and gets, she had a key. She goes inside, and my mother was passed away in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
So I say all that to say is that there's a spirituality that we all have, and there's a connectedness to the higher source. And he was preparing me for that.
Okay.
I was the last one to talk to my mother.
Oh, wow.
And we talked, and I told her some things that I had never told her before. And she cried, and she said, "You didn't tell me, you didn't tell me, you didn't tell me." We don't supposed to cry on this show.
It's okay if you cry. It's okay.
We're not supposed to do that. Anyway.
It's okay. Sometimes you have to release.
So my point is that
spirituality is very
it's
alive.
it's very alive. And then when she passed, I just remember having a dream, and the last dream, well, not the last, because I always have dreams about my mom, but the dream that made me be at peace is that, and it's so funny because this table's so long. I had a dream that we were at dinner, and my mother was laid out on the table, and there was food around her, and it was beautifully displayed. And I said, "Mom," I said, how are you? How are you?" And she said, I said, "How do you feel?" And she said, "Amazing." And I was just like, okay.
That's interesting because I had a dream like that too.
Really?
Similar, but like when because my mom is deceased too. I had something similar. I woke up. I had a really great dream about my grandmother, which is my mom's mom.
Yeah.
And my mother. And I was so happy in the dream. I mean, just happy, like to see both of them. I think I told you this. And when I woke up and I realized I woke up, I just started bawling.
Really? Wow.
Because I knew that I was so happy to see them. And I was just, and it was such a great warm feeling.
Yeah.
And I knew it was over, and I was just, I'm talking about uncontrollably sobbing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my, I mean, it was, I cried for like awake for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. And I think that when you tap into that source and you connect with that source, you understand what God really is. God is within us. And so you don't need, that person to dictate all of that stuff to you. But if you get something from that person and that person feeds you in a certain way, then they do. And if you're sitting at that church and you have peace within your soul, you have contentment, you're a wonderful person to other people, you want to be giving, you want to be loving, and that person happens to be a little nefarious, I don't know. Everybody in that congregation is not getting a bad deal. Some people are sitting there and they're being fed.
Some people are, but you ever heard the saying, there are sheep in wolves' clothing?
Yeah.
Wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to be aware that when you're trying to get right, there's a whole lot of demons and spirits, bad spirits around you.
Yeah.
So, but not to get off, well, you got to get back on the subject. That was a way, they say when you have a dream about people that passed over, that's their way of coming to you and telling you that they're okay. Yeah,
I know. That's what happened. And so I never had after that, when I would see her in my dreams, it would be very always cheerful, always wonderful, always great, always, every time I dream about my mom, it's always wonderful, always great.
Yeah, this dream was wonderful.
Yeah.
I was just sad, but I was crying, but I was telling them thank you as I was crying.
I get it.
Because I knew, I didn't want them to feel like, oh, we're never going to come back and visit her, because look how emotional. But I was like, thank you, I just miss you guys so much. And I was thankful for that dream.
Oh my God, that was like a blessing for you. That was God. That was God.
So on that note,
boom. God bless
all of you.
All of you. We love you. And we'll see you on the next episode. And